Good afternoon, everybody. I thought I would come on and do a live. I said I was going to start doing one once a week, but I've just been so distracted this week and really quite busy. As most of you will know who have been following our page and who have been into Hydroease and who use our services and who are contracted to work with us, that we, since May last year, we have been working with the council for Hydroease to remain open. We firmly believe Hydroease is ancillary to mental health. We believe that the services that we provide are specialist trauma recovery services, which include psychological interventions and stress management programmes, based using all of the skills and the tools that I personally have in unison with flotation. So in May we were contacted by the council. Well, we contacted the council, and the council had said that we weren't to open in the lightening of the restrictions in the June because we didn't have enough evidence that we were ancillary to mental health. So I went and just explored this and spoke to the council and asked them what would make us ancillary to mental health, what would they like from us, what would we need to provide them with. So they stated that there was various different things, and so we went and done everything. And then we opened in July, the same as everybody else did at that point in time. From July until the next lockdown, we worked backwards and forwards with the council to try and get some resolve. And to be fair to the council, the guy that we worked with there, Gareth Lennox, was absolutely amazing. He was so informative and he guided us in the best way he could at every single request that we had. The difficulties I think that the councils and stuff are having is with the legislation that's coming down from Stormont, which is inevitably, I suppose, is coming from all regions of the UK. And it's quite hard to try and navigate your way through that legislation and find out exactly what that means for you as a small business owner. So we stayed open for the first 5 weeks in the October-November lockdown, and we were told by the council that we needed to close. So we went to the service providers, the people we have contracts with, the people who are subcontracted to Department of Health money, and asked them for letters of recommendation to state that we provide specialist trauma recovery support, that we're an integral part of people's treatment plans, but that we also are funded, subcontracted through these contracts that they have that are commissioned from Department of Health funding. We received these letters, we forwarded these letters, and they were forwarded to the Environmental Health Department, who put them further up the line within the council, and the council decided these letters weren't good enough. These letters didn't clearly define us as ancillary to mental health, so we had to close. So we closed for 2 weeks at the end of the last lockdown, and we applied for the government assistance. When we applied for that, we were told we weren't entitled to it because we were a part of an industry that shouldn't have closed. So I was going backwards and forwards. I was then directed to speak to the Northern Ireland Statistics and Research Association. So I'd done some work backwards and forwards with them. They stated that in order to change our standard industry classification code, which is how things are kind of tested and measured in terms of if you are entitled to support or not from the COVID schemes. And so we were then directed to the Office of National Statistics. In the meantime, I had spoken and worked with the local councillor. I had spoken and worked with the local MP. I had spoken and worked with so many different people, and I'd also taken on a legal team. What then happened on the back of that was between the November and Christmas we remained open. We opened again between Christmas and New Year, and we were visited by the police. The police service of Northern Ireland were fantastic at that time. I had a file and I had all the evidence and all the research in terms of flotation, and also the services that we offer through Hydroease, and the letters of recommendation from the organisations that we work alongside. They then took that to their commanding officer, who then decided to speak to a thing called Silver Control. Silver Control is the police department that deals with COVID regulations and how that can be translated in terms of law and in terms of the powers that the police have in these matters. So Silver Control spoke to Greg Beckett, Inspector Greg Beckett. Inspector Greg Beckett stated that in the absence of anyone else making a decision, that he, based on the evidence that was placed in front of him, that we could remain open. We remained open, and then on Tuesday we received a phone call from the council stating that 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 process should never have happened, that the council are now overruling that based on the fact that they have a liaison officer between themselves and the police department, and the police that it should have went through that process. Again, this was out of my control. They were absolutely, at this point I was kind of going, hang on a minute guys, I have done everything you have asked me. I've provided you with everything that you have asked me to do. I've contacted the people that you have asked me to contact. I've stayed within these parameters. I've done everything I can. If I close my business now, I'm not entitled to any kind of support at all. And I know there's probably hundreds of small businesses out there who are experiencing this same thing, who've just said, do you know what, close the doors. Like, this is, because it can be frustrating, to say the least. It can be absolutely soul-destroying at times. But I just thought, do you know what, I've not came this far to come this far. So I then went back to, I had been directed to the assistant director for commissioning and for contracts. What I was being asked for was a commissioning certificate. From October, I was told there was no such thing. I was told the same again in November. I was told the same again in December. So I was basically chasing a figment of someone's imagination somewhere, or some translation of information that has came from one department to another, that someone's kind of added something onto, and this is what they were looking for. On Tuesday, I managed to speak to the Assistant Director for Commissioning Contracts and ECRs for the Belfast Trust. Now, why this is to be to Belfast Trust when we're based in Lisburn and Castlereagh was a bit confusing as well. But you know what? I went with that trail. I spoke to the gentleman there, and he was saying, what makes you think you're ancillary to mental health? I went through the whole story. I stated I had sent these letters over to him in December, to which he replied that he had deleted these emails. So sometimes departments and people in these positions are so busy and so inundated with various different pieces of work and requests and legislation and all these different things, that something from a small business owner or something from someone who's just a small voice, who doesn't hold much clout, can go unnoticed, to the point completely disregarded and ignored, with emails deleted and that voice completely silenced. Again, I never came this far to come this far. I refused to let my voice be silenced. So I spoke to this guy. I said to him, I will send you these letters over right this moment. Like, here they are. Sent him them over. At that point, he knew one of the people from the organisations that we are subcontracted to. And he said, I will phone them just to ensure that these letters are legitimate, that these letters are real letters that have actually been given to your organisation. He went and spoke to this girl who stated, look, without this service, people's treatment plans would fail. Without this service, we are working with people whose mental healths are so fragile that the difference this service makes could be the difference of life and death. And that's what it's come down to. It really comes down to, you know, I could have closed my doors and I could have said, and which I was saying, I was giving it specific examples. I was saying, you know, currently I'm holding someone in a service and these are the things that this person's life is being challenged by. And I was being told, well, you need to close. And there was a part of me that was like, well, do you know what? If anything happens, you guys have blood on your hands. But you know, like, I do what I do because I have a love of supporting and helping people. I know people can heal, regardless of what you've been through. You can heal. You just need to know that what happened to you and when it happened to you has passed. And you need to know that the emotions that you've attached to that, you can release. So there was a bit of me that just didn't sit right with that. While I could sit back and say, well, I tried my hardest and, you know, this is not my fault, I just felt that there was more that I could do than that. So I went up against these departments. I went up against the council. I went up against the Health and Social Care Trust. I went up, and when I say went up against them, what I mean is that I just never took what they said to be fact. I decided to do my own due diligence. I decided to look at what are the other things. There must be answers here somewhere. And sometimes when you feel like you're banging your head off a brick wall and that you're going to get nowhere, you just allow yourself to be silenced. One of the pieces of advice that I was given throughout this was speak to the Nolan Show, go to the Nolan Show. What's happening here is ridiculous as a small business owner. And I just thought, you know, it's like, as I said in the title of this live, it's a David and Goliath situation. I was a small voice against big voices who are ultimately under huge pressure because of the times we find ourselves in. But that doesn't make my voice any less important. So if you're a small business owner and you're out there and you're watching this video and you're at the point of banging your head off a wall, or indeed you have actually closed your business, please never give up, because you never know how close you are to success. On that, we are now legally entitled to stay open. We have ancillary to mental health status. We have permission from the Health and Social Care Trust. We have permission from the Environmental Health Department, and we have permission from the PSNI. Far short of having Arlene and Michelle actually visiting Hydro's and sending us a letter and welcoming people at the door, there's nothing else I think I can do. But I wanted to come on and do this live just to let you know that this is where we're at. So if there is a phone call or there's anything else that tells us we should close, the fight will continue. And it's not even a fight. This is not a fight, because if anything, this has been a fantastic experience for me. This has been such a great opportunity because I've grown so much as a person, but I've also grown so much as a business owner. And now know things about things that I absolutely had no idea even existed. So again, going back to, if you're a small business owner, please don't be disheartened by what's going on just now. If you believe your business should be open, or you believe that you're entitled to some kind of support, or you believe that you should have a grant, or you believe whatever it is that you believe, if you're passionate enough about what you're doing, go out there and just make it happen. Don't take no for an answer. You just never know how close you are to succeed in whatever goal that is you've set. So again, I'd just like to reiterate, we are open. We are providing psychological interventions and stress management support programs. We're working with extern, we're working with VSS, we're working with Intercom, we're working with people whose lives have been impacted by the Troubles, we're working with people who have experienced domestic violence, sexual abuse, adverse childhood experiences. But what I find more is we're now working with quite a lot of children who are really struggling with what's happening now, who ultimately, as humans, we're supposed to connect. We're supposed to be, that's why we got to the top of the food chain. That's why we are the most successful species on this planet. That's part of our evolution, is to survive and is to connect and be part of something. The words that ring in my ear is, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything. And I stand for the fact that my business should be open at this moment in time. Thank you so much for the people that have stayed with me. I noticed there's messages coming in. I'm going to read them all because I know that my son put in "Go Boss Lady." I love you guys. But just, yeah, go for it, guys. Like, solidarity, let's stick together. If I can help anybody with anything, or anybody wants to know more about who we spoke to or how we managed to get to where we are, then give me a shout. Give me a shout. Ultimately, also, if anybody's struggling out there, give us a shout. There is help, there is support. Let's connect, even if it's just virtually. Love you all. Take care. Mwah. Bye.